Hey guys, my name's Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. I just wanted to share a few thoughts on what I think we need to do right now in EOS in the light of all the vote buying and the exchanges voting for BPs and the very heavy predominance of Eastern-based block producers who are currently in the top 21. First of all, I want to make it very clear that there's nothing against Eastern BPs whatsoever. In fact, the way I look at it is the value creators are the BPs that should be in the top 21. So if those are in the East, that's fine. If they're in the West, that's fine too. But what we don't want is a heavy predominance of centralization geographically, and that is what we currently have. That's why I think that we do need to fix things. We don't have the top value-adding BPs in the top 21. The top value-adding BPs are almost all, not completely, but almost all outside the top 21. And what we have instead is sort of this race to the bottom where the BPs who are willing to reward the most being in the top 21. And there was a bit of strategy on how this happened. And what I observed is that the current top 21 was put into place by strategically using exchanges to vote up block producers and then sharing the rewards with voters and entrenching their position. So it is difficult to unseat that. If the Western BPs have been doing the same thing, it would have been a lot more fair. So what I propose right now is that two things. We get Western exchanges or any exchanges on board with voting for BPs who add value to EOS, not just BPs who are willing to reward. There's nothing wrong with rewarding voters. In fact, voters should be rewarded. But when that's the only thing that that BP brings to the table, with the bare level, irreducible minimum and not adding much value, then we have a bit of a problem. So what I think we need to do is, first of all, we need to get exchanges on board. That means Coinbase, that means Kraken, that means Binance US, that means any other exchange that's Western, US-based, or anywhere around the world that is willing to vote for value-creating block producers. And so once we get those tens or hundreds of millions of tokens voting for value-creating block producers and proxies, then we have a changed game where we have the West able to compete with the East. And I think that's all that's been happening is we haven't had the West being willing to play on the same terms as the rest of the block producers. So those who are willing to play by those rules rose to the top. And then once the Western BPs are somewhat back in the top 21, they then have the funds to reward voters for voting for them. It's really hard to reward your voters when you're not making any income. So these value-adding Western BPs who are way outside the top 21 don't even have the resources to reward voters right now, and it's very much a chicken and egg problem. So what we need is to bootstrap it by having Western exchanges vote these value-adding Western BPs back up the ranks. Then the Western BPs need to get their act together and decide whether or not they're willing to play by the same rules that everyone else is playing by, which means reward your voters. And if they're willing to do that, I think they have a chance at maintaining a top 21 position. You have to play by the same rules that the blockchain is coded to allow right now. Now, with all that being said, I feel that the optimum solution is to fix governance on EOS, to remove 30 votes per token, and that's what Brendan Bloomer has been saying recently as well. So we need to fix governance. That's the ultimate problem. All this other stuff is sort of stopgap measures to compete because there is a broken governance to some degree on EOS right now. So we need to get Western exchanges involved. We need to get them voting for value-adding BPs. Any BP that adds value is fine. And then we need to have those BPs reward their voters. And then we will have a fair competition with those current Eastern BPs who are dominating the 21 top positions. And then we need to fix governance. And I think that that will be a lot easier when we have BPs in the top 21 who are the value-adding BPs, because they do look long-term instead of just at the short term. When you have a top 21 rank comprised of BPs who do not add much value, they may add some, right? Like an exchange, sure, it adds some value, but I would argue that an exchange adds less value, in my opinion, than a block producer who has enacted the EOS user agreement, who has tested the REX, like EOS Authority, who has implemented the REX, the resource exchange, who has put in place the Chintai trading platform like EOS 42, EOS DAC, Cypherglass, rewarding for bounties. These are value creating BPs who are far superior to BPs who are simply rewarding voters and really not contributing much else. Yeah, they get the blocks done, but that's about it. There's no more above and beyond. And I'd like to see BPs who go above and beyond and who can also create blocks be in the top 21 position. So guys, that's what I think we should do. Exchanges on board, vote in BPs who add value, and then have those BPs reward their voters, and then fix governance on EOS with BPs who care about the long term. All right, that's what I think. Thank you very much. Have a great day.